Rain hammered the diner windows like the sky itself was exhausted. Inside, at a small corner booth, a single dad named Ethan was staring at the only real meal he could afford that morning, a simple breakfast sandwich he had saved for after dropping his son at school. He was tired, worn out from working nights, and trying to stretch every dollar until it almost broke. But just as he reached for his food, the bell above the diner door chimed, and in walked a woman who looked like she had been through a storm much harsher than the one outside. Her clothes were torn. Her hair was wet and tangled. And as she slid weakly into the booth across from him, she began to cry in silence, the kind of crying that comes from someplace deep, where words can't reach. In that moment, Ethan didn't know her story. He didn't know her name. All he knew was that she was hungry, and she was hurting. And he pushed his plate toward her. Before we begin the full story, make sure you subscribe to Kindness Diaries for more real, emotional, heart-touching stories. Don't forget to like this video, and share in the comments what kindness means to you. Your support helps us bring more stories of hope to the world. Ethan lived in a small town outside Atlanta, raising his 7-year-old son, Caleb, on his own. Life hadn't been easy since his wife passed away 2 years earlier. His savings dried up quickly, and now he worked overnight shifts at a warehouse just to keep their tiny apartment. He didn't have much, not money, not time, not comfort. But he did have a heart that couldn't walk past someone in pain. The woman across from him couldn't stop trembling. The waitress had tried asking her questions, but she barely murmured back, "I'm okay." "I'm okay," though it was clear she wasn't. Something in Ethan refused to stay silent. He tore his sandwich in half and gently slid one side toward her. When she didn't look up, he pushed the entire plate. "You look like you need this more than I do," he said softly. At first, she didn't move. Then she looked at him with swollen, frightened eyes, as if she wasn't used to anyone helping. Are you sure?" she whispered. "Yeah," Ethan nodded. "Eat. Please." And she did. Hesitantly at first, then desperately, like someone who hadn't eaten a real meal in days. Tears streamed down her face between bites, mixing with the rainwater dripping from her hair. Ethan didn't push her with questions. He didn't ask why she was alone, or what happened to her. He just sat there, quietly, giving her the space to breathe. When she finally finished, she wiped her face with shaky hands and whispered, "Thank you. You're the first person who's been kind to me in weeks." She stood up quickly, almost nervously, and hurried out of the diner before he could respond. Ethan figured he'd never see her again. But she didn't forget him. 3 weeks later, a black SUV pulled up outside his apartment complex. Caleb was the one who saw it first from their window. "Dad. Someone's here." Ethan stepped outside, confused, until a sharply dressed woman climbed out, holding a folder and wearing a look of determined purpose. "Mr. Walker," she asked. "I'm attorney Melissa Grant. I represent a client who recently had an encounter with you, at a diner." Ethan blinked. A diner. Then the memory hit him. Her. The woman from the storm. Melissa nodded. "Her name is Claire. She's safe now. She had been fleeing an abusive situation and was living in her car. You fed her the morning she was too weak to keep going." She paused, eyes softening. "She asked us to find you. She wants to help." Ethan felt a pang of worry. "Help? I didn't do anything. I just gave her breakfast." To her, Melissa said gently, "You gave hope." She handed him the folder. Inside was a legal letter, and a check. He swallowed hard when he saw the number. It wasn't small. It wasn't even reasonable. It was life-changing. I can't accept this," he stammered, stepping back. "This is too much." Melissa shook her head. Claire insisted. She recently regained access to her finances after leaving her abuser. She said your kindness was the moment she realized the world wasn't all darkness. She wants you and your son to have the chance she never got. Ethan felt tears prick his eyes. He had spent so long holding everything together with his bare hands, barely managing bills, skipping meals so Caleb never had to, working until his back screamed. And now, because of a single plate of breakfast, everything was shifting. He collapsed into a seat on the steps outside his apartment. The check trembled in his hands. "What is this supposed to be?" he whispered. "Gratitude," the attorney said. "A fresh start." The next morning, Ethan didn't go to the warehouse. Instead, he took his son to his favorite park. They bought real breakfast, eggs, toast, pancakes, the works. Ethan watched Caleb laugh, the sound ringing through the morning air like something he hadn't heard in too long. For the first time in years, he felt his shoulders loosen. The constant weight of fear, the fear of bills, fear of failing, fear of breaking, slowly lifted. A week later, Ethan and Caleb were packing to move into a safer, cleaner apartment with enough space for Caleb to finally have his own room. Ethan registered for a training program so he could get a better-paying job. He even bought a simple bouquet of flowers, drove to the attorney's office, and asked if he could deliver them to Claire. He didn't want to invade her privacy. He didn't need to meet her again. He just wanted her to know he was grateful. Melissa smiled. "She'll appreciate that. She thinks the world of you." That night, as Ethan tucked Caleb into his new bed, his son asked, "Dad, why did that lady help us so much?" Ethan thought for a moment and answered quietly, "Because kindness always finds a way back." And in that peaceful room, with rain tapping gently against the window, Ethan realized something profound. Even the smallest act, the simplest gesture, a shared breakfast, can echo farther than we ever imagine. Kindness doesn't cost much, but sometimes it returns as something priceless. If this story touched your heart, remember, we all carry the power to change someone's life, even in the smallest moment. Spread kindness today, because you never know whose story you might rewrite.